Hello, welcome back to the Ripe Good Scholar YouTube channel. My name is Sarah. Today we're going to work through Act 1 of Macbeth. This is one of my favorite starts to a play, and I can't wait to explore it with you. So let's just jump right in. When shall we three meet again? In thunder, lightning, or in rain? When the hurly-burly's done, when the battle's lost and won. That will be ere the setting sun. Where the place? Upon the heath, there to meet with Macbeth. The witches set their plans to meet Macbeth at sunset on the heath after battle. They apparently aren't quite ready for the excitement to be over, and Macbeth seems like a good enough mortal to meddle with. King Duncan receives reports on what happened with the battle. Macbeth and Banquo defeated the Norwegians even when hope seemed lost. They're pretty much just the best. Now the sergeant delivering the news needed to leave because his valiant wounds were still bleeding. It seemed like something he should have looked at, so as not to die and such. Although he probably still will, though, let's be honest, medieval doctors weren't top-notch. I could be a medieval doctor. The Thane of Ross, another unimportant noble, brings the news that they have won the battle and the traitorous Thane of Cawdor fell. The king decides to keep some of Cawdor's money for the crown and bestow the title, Thane of Cawdor, onto Macbeth. He deserves it. One of the witches is going to sink a ship in order to kill one of the men aboard because his wife wouldn't share her chestnuts. I mean, it's rude not to share, but killing her husband feels like a bit of an escalation. The lesson to take away here is don't piss off a witch. Macbeth and Banquo come in and immediately start insulting the Weird Sisters. They are particularly cruel about their appearance. It seems like an odd move to me, but you be you, Macbeth and Banquo. Just saying, they're killing a man over chestnuts. Banquo is especially harsh. He points out their weird clothes, nasty fingers, skinny lips, and beards. It's frankly a bit rude. Then, they all take turns hailing Macbeth. First, as the Thane of Glamis, his current title. Second, as the Thane of Cawdor, a title he doesn't know he has yet. Third, as King, a title he most definitely does not have. All hail Macbeth. Hail to thee, Thane of Glamis. All hail Macbeth. Hail to thee, Thane of Cawdor. All hail Macbeth. Thou shalt be king hereafter. Good sir, why do you start and seem to fear things that do sound so fair? In the name of truth, are ye fantastical, or that indeed which outwardly ye show? My noble partner you greet with present grace and great prediction of noble having and of royal hope, that he seems rapt withal. To me you speak not. Macbeth is taken aback, but Banquo doesn't understand why. All of that sounds awesome. Banquo wants in on the fun. He asks the witches, who he just insulted, to predict him a good future. The witches oblige, for some reason. Maybe because it ends up killing him. And tell Banquo that he will never be king, but his descendants will be king for many years. Macbeth wants to know more about what they are trying to say. He believes the Thane of Cawdor is still alive, making it impossible for him to have that title. Macbeth wants to know how they are getting their information and what they're doing there. The witches apparently don't feel like answering questions, so they just disappear, leaving Macbeth even more confused, as would we all. Two messengers from the king arrive to tell Macbeth how great he was at battle and that the king is pleased. The king is so pleased, in fact, that he has named Macbeth the Thane of Cawdor. This news catches both Macbeth and Banquo by surprise. The men explain that the former Thane of Cawdor betrayed Scotland, so he is losing his title and his life. Banquo, again, gets nothing. Macbeth launches into a thought spiral about what just happened. The witches told the truth. He's the Thane of Cawdor. That would indicate all of their prophecies are true, which is good, but he's feeling very apprehensive about the whole situation. Two truths are told, as happy prologues to the swelling act of the imperial theme. I thank you, gentlemen. This supernatural soliciting cannot be ill, cannot be good. If ill, why hath it given me earnest of success commencing in a truth? I am Thane of Cawdor. If good, why do I yield to that suggestion which horrid image doth unfix my hair and make my seated heart knock at my ribs against the use of nature? Present fears are less than horrible imaginings. My thought, whose murder is yet but fantastical, shakes so my single state of man, that function is smothered in surmise, and nothing is but what is not. As Macbeth is mumbling to himself in the corner, Banquo covers for him. Macbeth finally realizes that he's being kind of weird, and thanks the messengers. Duncan confirms that the former Thane of Cawdor has been executed. Apparently, Cawdor confessed his crimes and begged for mercy, proving he was a sneaky sneak up until the very end. Macbeth and Banquo enter, and Duncan heaps more praises on them both, but especially Macbeth. At least Banquo gets a little love this time. Unfortunately for Macbeth, Duncan throws a real curveball into the witch's prediction by making his own son Malcolm official heir to the throne. To us, this may seem an obvious choice, but in medieval Scotland, it wasn't. The king was typically not the direct descendant of the previous king. So this would be an unexpected announcement. Apparently, Macbeth's castle is the closest, so they decide to go there. Macbeth wants to ride ahead to let his wife know that they're coming. He wonders to himself how he could be king if he's not the king's heir, which is a legitimate question. It certainly complicates things a bit. Duncan and Banquo start off a few moments later. They met me in the day of success, and I have learned by the perfectest report, they have more in them than mortal knowledge. When I burned in desire to question them further, they made themselves air, into which they vanished. Whilst I stood wrapped in the wonder of it, came missives from the king, who all hailed me Thane of Cawdor, by which title before these weird sisters saluted me, and referred me to the coming on of time with, Hail, King that shalt be. This have I thought good to deliver thee, my dearest partner of greatness, that thou mightst not lose the dues of rejoicing by being ignorant to what greatness is promised to thee. Lay it to thy heart, and farewell. Glamis thou art, and Cawdor, and shalt be what thou art promised. Yet I do fear thy nature. It is too full of the milk of human kindness to catch the nearest way. Thou wouldst be great, art not without ambition, but without the illness should attend it. What thou wouldst highly, thou wouldst holily. Wouldst not play false, and yet wouldst strongly win. Thou'st have, great Glamis, that which cries, thus thou must do if thou have it, and that which rather thou dost fear to do, that wishest soon should be undone. Hie thee hither, that I may pour my spirits in thine ear, and chastise with the valor of my tongue all that impedes thee from the golden round, which fate and metaphysical aid doth seem to have thee crowned withal. Lady Macbeth reads the letter that recounts the whole incident with the witches. She is determined to see Macbeth be named king, but she's worried he's too nice to go about it the easy, violent way. A messenger comes in to inform her that the king is coming. She doesn't believe him at first, but once he tells her that Macbeth is coming first, she is pumped. She asks the spirits to take away everything that makes her a woman and make her determined in her dark purpose. The raven himself is hoarse that croaks the fatal entrance of Duncan under my battlements. Come, you spirits that tend on mortal thoughts, unsex me here, and fill me from the crown to the toe, top full of direst cruelty. Make thick my blood, stop up the access and passage to remorse, that no compunctious visitings of nature shake my fell purpose, nor keep peace between the effect and it. Come to my woman's breast, and take my milk for gall, your murdering ministers, wherever your sightless substances, you wait on nature's mischief. Come, thick night, and pall thee in the dunnest smoke of hell, that my keen knife see not the wound it makes, nor heaven peep through the blanket of the dark. To cry, hold, hold. Macbeth comes in and explains that Duncan is only staying one night. Lady Macbeth makes it clear that she wants to murder the king. Macbeth thinks they should talk about it later. He's probably trying to figure out exactly how to talk his wife out of murder. But that's a future Macbeth problem. Duncan comments on how nice Macbeth's castle is. Lady Macbeth comes to greet him. There are lots of compliments exchanged. It's a pretty standard noble welcoming. Macbeth has mixed feelings about the whole murder thing, which is understandable. I mean, he's about to kill his house guest, the king, who has been nothing but nice to him. It certainly goes against all the rules of hospitality, but there's that darn ambition pushing him forward. Enter ambition. I mean, Lady Macbeth. She doesn't understand why Macbeth has stepped away from the banquet. The king has been asking for him. Macbeth tells her he's not going to kill the king or talk about it ever again. The king has been heaping all sorts of praise and honor upon him, and it seems rude to kill him after all that. Lady Macbeth scolds her husband for making false promises to her and not being a man about it. She tells him that she would kill her own child if she had promised to do so. She really pulls the hard punches when it comes to the whole, "Why won't you murder for me?" guilt trip. We will proceed no further in this business. He hath honored me of late, and I have brought golden opinions from all sorts of people, which would be worn now in their newest gloss, not cast aside so soon. Was the hope drunk wherein you dressed yourself? Hath it slept since? And wakes it now to look so green and pale at what it did so freely? From this time such I account thy love. Art thou afeard to be the same in thine own act and valor as thou art in desire? Wouldst thou have that which thou esteemest the ornament of life, and live a coward in thine own esteem, letting I dare not wait upon I would, like the poor cat in the adage? Prithee, peace. I dare do all that may become a man. Who dares do more is none. What beast wast then that made you break this enterprise to me? When you durst do it, then you were a man, and do more than what you were, you would be so much more than the man. Nor time nor place did then adhere, and yet you would make both. They have made themselves, and that their fitness now does unmake you. I have given suck, and know how tender 'tis to love the babe that milks me. I would, while it was smiling in my face, have plucked my nipple from its boneless gums and dashed the brains out, had I so sworn as you have done to this. If we should fail, we fail. But screw your courage to the sticking place, and we'll not fail. Macbeth still isn't too sure. He's worried about failing. Lady Macbeth isn't. She's going to get the king's servants so drunk that they pass out in his chamber. When they're passed out, Macbeth can sneak in and kill the king with the servants' daggers. Everyone will assume the servants did it, and the Macbeths will make such a show of their grief that no one will suspect them. It seems like the perfect plan. And so Macbeth decides he will kill the king after all. The important thing is to really have a solid plan. And that wraps up Act 1. But before we move on, let's talk a little about what has happened and why it's important. The most important thing is the prophecy. It's important because it sets the entire plot into motion. There's no indication prior to the prophecy that Macbeth had any interest in the throne whatsoever. It was the witches that put that idea into his head. They sparked the flame of ambition. Then Lady Macbeth came in and fanned those flames. Lady Macbeth is probably the second most important introduction in this act. She is immediately committed to the quest for power. Her language is visceral as she expresses her commitment and tries to convince Macbeth to do the same. Without Lady Macbeth, the upcoming murder probably doesn't happen. So here we have Macbeth with the knowledge that he'll have the throne, and a wife convincing him to take it. But we will have to wait until next time to find out exactly how Macbeth handles this unique situation. Join us next time as we look at Act 2. That episode will be up 2 weeks from today. If you want to make sure you don't miss that or any future episodes, hit subscribe and turn on notifications. Let me know all of your thoughts, questions, and comments down below. For more Shakespeare fun in the meantime, check out my blog at ripegoodscholar.com or follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Links all down below. You can also check out my podcast, Breaking Bard, where I look at a lot of different aspects of Shakespeare and have a fun discussion, usually with my husband. He's not as big of a Shakespeare expert as me, and that's fun. That's all for now. Remember, go wisely and go slowly. Those who rush stumble and fall.